my name is Jess Gant. I work at Analytik Jena as a lab manager and application specialist. Today, I'll be walking you through the maintenance of the TOC instrument on our 3300 unit here. Today, we'll be focusing on the maintenance of the combustion tube.
For the maintenance of the combustion tube, you'll need the following. Going from top to bottom, we have at the top, the combustion tube. Below this, we have the optional hook tool. Then we have our glass rod. Under this, we have a tweezer. From here, we can look on our left-hand side to see a beaker and a funnel, as well as a ruler as an optional tool. We also have quartz wool high temperature mat on the right-hand side, the platinum catalyst, and finally a pair of nitrile gloves. So to start off, after we switched off our power, we're going to want to remove this left-hand side panel of the instrument. This is how we access the combustion tube and the rest of the furnace system. So to start off, we're going to take the Allen wrench that's included within the scope of our delivery and just go through and make sure that the screws are nice and loosened. After doing this, you can simply lift the door up vertically and pull backwards. Now, before you pull all the way off, one thing that's important to remember is that there is this grounding wire that's connected to the door of the instrument. So you're going to want to pull up on the grounding to now disconnect from the door. And you can remove your side panel. Now that we've removed the door, the next step will be removing the top panel. So there is a moon or crescent shaped hole that we will grab onto to now pull up the top panel, and we can remove it like so off to the side there. What you see here is our furnace system. So we have our 5-port valve, and then we have the combustion furnace that contains our combustion tube. So, of course, with the process of combustion, we are supplying oxygen. So our next step will be removing the oxygen supply. This is connected through a fast connect. This stands for fast, safe, tight connection. It's this black rubber connection at the top left of the instrument back here. So we're going to want to pull that connection towards us. You don't have to use too much force. Just give it a gentle tug and it will come off for you. From there, we want to disconnect from our 5-port valve. So we will unscrew our 5-port valve finger tight connection there before we then will come over to the railing we see in the back, and we will twist that knurled screw in the back corner into a counterclockwise direction from us. We do not have to completely remove it, just loosening it is enough. From here, what we want to do is we will grab onto the 5-port valve body like so, and we will pull it towards our body, which is towards the front of the instrument and away from the combustion tube system. Now that this is completed, we can now remove the fork clamp, which is the last piece securing our combustion tube to the system. This connects our combustion tube to the condensation coil here that we see on the side. So what we'll want to do is make sure the knurled screw there is fully loosened before we push the two ends towards each other and gently pull the fork clamp towards us. Now you can see it is fully removed. From here, what we'll want to do is now push down on the condensation coil to remove it down by about 2 to 3 centimeters to make reinstallation easier later on. Now we can finally remove our combustion tube. So I start off by grabbing the furnace head completely, and I like to give a gentle twist as I pull and ensure I don't snag on any tubing as I pull my combustion tube vertically. Now we have the complete removed combustion tube assembly here. Now we can begin the process of removing the combustion tube filling material. So of course, to do that, we have to remove the furnace head. So we have this nice big screw at the base of the furnace head there. So what I like to do is I grab with my left hand the top part of the furnace head, and with my bottom right hand, I begin to rotate in a clockwise direction the actual screw itself to remove it. So go through the motions there. Now the screw will be removed, and it is meant to come off at the bottom of the combustion tube. So we're going to gently take the bottom screw off. Now the next part is very simple, of course. We can remove our furnace head vertically, and we reveal the 3 O-rings, helping us to maintain a nice and tight seal. The nice thing about the O-rings is that they can be reused several times. So all you have to do is look for signs of wear, and if it looks okay, like these 3 do here, we can actually reuse them on our next combustion tube filling process. We have now gathered the items necessary to do the maintenance and refilling of the combustion tube. So first things first, we're going to lift up our combustion tube that we pulled from the furnace and gently inspect to make sure we don't see any cracks, don't see any signs of severe devitrification. For us, we see a nice clean combustion tube. Therefore, I'll move on to the next stage, which is removing the 3 O-rings at the top here. So we're going to want to inspect them, but first we have to remove them. To do this, I like to grasp the combustion tube with my right hand and then use my thumb to actually push up on the O-rings in a seesaw motion. Perfect. Now that the O-rings are removed, I will pick them up to inspect them. I look for signs of cracks, wear, any type of damage, and if I don't see any of those signs, they are actually good to be reused for our next refill. So now, for our first maintenance item with removing our filling material, we'll need to take out the HT mat. So we have different methods for how we can remove our high temperature mat. One way is by using the optional hook tool, and the other way is to use a common pair of lab tweezers. Really, the goal is just to get the material out. The HT mat material is a consumable, so you won't be reusing this. So whatever means you can use, sometimes we will hook one part in and clip one side of the HT mat before dragging it out. The other method I'll show using the optional tool is to hook around the inner material and pull up. So in this case, we have had a little bit of salt or TDS content go through this HT mat, so it comes out in a few clumps at times, but that is okay. The goal is just to remove the high temperature mat material, which is why we have our nice Chem wipe there to catch it. Next up from there, we'll want to empty our combustion tube filling. To do this, we will utilize an empty beaker where we can pour our platinum catalyst content into said beaker. If necessary, or as an option, we can rinse this platinum catalyst, dry it, and then reuse it for future use as well. Then finally, we can remove our quartz wool that sits at the bottom of the combustion tube. Once again, I like to use our hook tool to accomplish this, but also a longer pair of forceps is also an option. As mentioned before, if you do find that you have some debris and salt, it is perfectly normal to fill this beaker up with DI water. I like to give a nice swirl before filtering out the water and allowing my platinum catalyst to dry. Once dried, we can reuse it for our next packing of our combustion tube. As you can tell, our space is looking a lot neater now. This is because we have replaced the Chem wipe for a more clean workspace to now refill our combustion tube. For our next steps, what we're going to do is take our quartz wool to start off and pack that at the very bottom of the combustion tube. Please do keep in mind that the fragments in the quartz wool are not great to inhale, so we do recommend doing this portion of the process in a fume hood where you pull off the quartz wool and place it inside the combustion tube for safety reasons. Off camera, I placed my quartz wool into the combustion tube here, but I did want to showcase about how much of the quartz wool you're placing into the combustion tube. So for reference, we like to recommend approximately 1 centimeter in size of your quartz wool can go into the combustion tube. From here, we'll use the glass rod that came with your instrument and push the quartz wool to the very bottom of the combustion tube, utilizing the glass rod. Nice and easy. Excellent. So for this next portion, we will actually be adding in our platinum catalyst. Commonly, you'll see your platinum catalyst come into this amber vial here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add approximately 4 centimeters of our platinum catalyst to the combustion tube. How do I know this? We do have this nice handy note card that comes with the HT matte packaging. At the very bottom, we list the amount / size that you need of all of your material inside of the combustion tube. To add in the platinum catalyst, this is where it gets kind of fun on camera. So you will want to be in a vertical configuration. Once we're in vertical, what we'll do is we'll take our funnel that we have off to the side. Alternatively, you can use a beaker if that makes it easier, because we are going to be pouring our platinum catalyst in. So what we'll do is we will, in a vertical configuration, tip our bottle of catalyst into the combustion tube, measuring along the way. So as time goes on, you'll feel more comfortable with how much catalyst you'll need. So first, we'll start off by taking a ruler and comparing, so I can see I have a little bit more material I can add in. So I will pour slightly more catalyst into my combustion tube before comparing. That is about 4 centimeters of platinum catalyst material. Excellent. Now, once we've successfully added in our catalyst, we'll want to add in our HT matte next. Now we'll be adding in our high temperature matte material into the top of our combustion tube. So in the same bag where we had our filling instructions there, that is the same bag that's going to hold our HT matte material that I pulled out. Seeing yours, depending on the kit you get, it can either be in the rectangular form, or if you're using the salt kit, it'll appear in a circular form. If you have the rectangular shape, what you're going to do is you're going to fold the bottom up. So you're going to make a rolling motion there. I'll show you from a different angle. Roll it until it appears cylindrical in shape. Once it's cylindrical, we will bring our combustion tube back into view there, and we will make a pushing motion very gently and a twisting motion as we guide our HT matte into the combustion tube. Once inserted, we will use the support or assistance of our glass rod there to push our high temperature matte material further into the combustion tube. And now you have a fully packed combustion tube ready to put into your furnace. We can now begin the process of reassembling the furnace head. To start off, we're going to take the 3 O-rings we set aside earlier and begin to place those at the very top of the combustion tube. From here, we'll want to place the bottom of the furnace head on next. I'm going to put us slightly above view and camera to showcase the bottom of the connection coming up onto the combustion tube before sliding into place at the very top. The final piece is now the screw-on furnace head. So we will begin by placing the furnace head at the very top, pushing down to make sure it's securely in place, and begin twisting the furnace head. What I have to do is use my bottom 3 fingers on my left hand to support the body of the combustion tube. Then I hold the bottom screwed on piece in place, utilizing my pointer finger and my thumb before I screw with my right hand that topmost furnace head piece. Finally, I give both sides a twist to make sure I am nice and tightly sealed. And I have my assembled furnace head attached to my combustion tube, which I will place directly into my furnace next. Now, after making sure that our combustion tube is finger tight into the furnace head, we are going to place our completed furnace head configuration back into the furnace. A little bit of wiggling may be required, so a little bit of, a left and right motion. We're going to leave the condensation coil disconnected for startup, but we will connect the 5-port valve and the gas connection. We'll connect the gas connection utilizing that rubber fast connect that we removed earlier, and connect the combustion tube to the 5-port valve by pushing the 5-port valve towards our finger tight screw there, lining them up, and then once close, we will begin to screw until we are nice and tight. We are almost at the end here. What we'll do now is we'll remember that there is that knurled screw at the back of the railing there. We're going to twist that into a clockwise direction to ensure that our railing is nice and fixed in place. Before, we'll want to bring the condensation coil up back towards that combustion tube there. So utilizing the arm on the side to help gently guide that condensation coil upwards until we feel ourselves connected. We're only connecting after we've done the warm-up period of the instrument. So we've gotten the furnace up to temperature and allowed gas stream to go through for about 15 minutes. This is to make sure that there are no particulates that go through the condensation coil. So once this process has been completed, we've reconnected, and then we can attach our fork clamp into place before we will tighten the knurled screw. That way it's nice and fixed. If you have finished this, then you have successfully completed the maintenance and reinstallation of the combustion tube. Great job.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I do hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at the email pictured here.